Town of Rome Board meeting to order for Thursday, December 2nd, 2021 at 5 p.m. Number 2, roll call starting from my left.
Weisinger here.
Minter here.
Hasdell here.
Goldman here.
Bauerheit here.
Number 3, certified posting of the meeting, please.
I certify that on Monday, November 29th, 2021, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, December 2nd was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 3:25 p.m., posted at Rome Town Hall at 3:30 p.m., at Pritzel's Trading Post at 4 p.m., and at Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 4:05 p.m.
Thank you. Number 4, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 6, citizen comments. You have none? No. Dispense with number 6. No action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda. Number 7, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, and announcements. Jerry, do you have any?
Our annual Christmas in Rome event will be this Saturday, starting at 3 o'clock, with hay rides, snacks, and hot chocolate for those that are here before Santa comes. And Santa will be arriving on a fire engine at 5 o'clock.
Dan?
I have nothing.
I do, but I'll defer to Dan.
Okay. We had our EMS district meeting Tuesday night. Everything is officially signed at this point between the 3 towns, so that's good. I did inquire as to how recruiting was going, and it sounds like it's going quite well. They've picked up some Nakusa members. They've got some part-timers that are going to go full-time. So fingers crossed, we're good to go January 1.
Good. I have nothing.
I have a couple of things. One is I got a comment from a resident after our last meeting about our use of items up here. I use a pad, Dan uses a computer, Dan has his phone. I just want to let the folks know at home, we are using this for our own purposes up here. We get a packet that comes out to us anywhere from 30 to 100 pages. So we do use these as reference. We're not doing anything else out here that we're not supposed to be doing. So just want to let the folks at home rest at ease. We're doing our job. That was one thing. The other thing, it occurred to me that within 10 years, less than 10 years from now, we're going to have a huge influx of tax revenue when Sand Valley comes on board. It's going to be like a switch going on and off. That's something we aren't planning for. We are looking right now at the comprehensive plan 10 years out. I think it's something that we have to incorporate that as well. And while we're doing that, I'd like to also talk to the board about, we'll do this as a future agenda item, about the CDA and expanding their responsibilities. If you review through the Wisconsin statutes on the authority of the CDA, RDA, and other entities authorized by the state, they do have a lot of possibilities that could be working on that I don't think they are. These are things I think we might want to look at and get the board behind them to go ahead and move this forward. And without saying something that I shouldn't be at right now, I'm going to let Nick go ahead and complete my thoughts, if you would. Please.
So the CDA over the last couple months has been working through mission, vision, and purpose, and really re-updating that. And so it's a logical flow then from that, because they've now kind of cemented in updates to their mission, vision, and purpose, to also take a look at what's allowed for CDAs under the statutes, also take a look at the bylaws and town ordinances, and come forward with maybe an idea of an expanded role that the CDA might play. It was discussed today that at their future meetings they would do that, and then forward that to the town board for support or any additional thoughts. And so over the next, I suspect probably a couple months, if the CDA is meeting once a month, there will be work being done with that to take a look at the primarily the state statutes as the chairman had referenced, and have those conversations with the idea that eventually there would be then maybe a summary or some form of report that would go to you as the board to then support or alter or provide additional information to. So more just an update at this point, because it will be taking place first at the CDA, really in concert with their now completed update to their mission, vision, and purpose.
Thank you. Any comments? Anybody? Thoughts? Thank you, Nick. Moving on, discuss and possible action on the following items. Number 8, discussion and action, approval of the November 18th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 9, discussion and action, checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries. Approved checks number 43603 through 43679, totaling $420,784.31. Auto payments totaling $194,041.02. State Social Security Medicare withholding totaling $33,255.29. Payroll vouchers V17959 through V18080, totaling $82,505.38. Receipts number 22745 through 22824, totaling $563,424.82.
Motion to approve the checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? I did have one question on, I think it was page 15 of the check register. We had cameras for the Syracuse for $5,825. Just expand on what that was.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Brad can expand to it, but we purchased some cameras out for 11th for that. Yeah, for that other access, to make sure that people weren't accessing the park when the gates are open, that they're actually coming down to or accessing the park during times when it's not open at all. So Solaris installed cameras, and that's part of the coverage of the grant. So
Okay. Is that then you able to watch that from here somewhere or
Yes.
offsite?
Yep.
Okay.
Is
Thank
that
you.
anything else you wanted to add to that?
Right on.
Yep.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
we caught some great wildlife on it also at this point too.
Put it on the website. All right. Thank you. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 10, discussion and possible action, approval of resolution number 21, resolution approving appointment of election officials for the term of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024.
This is a required resolution every 2 years to appoint the individuals that would be working the polling place on election day.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? You all have seen the folks on there? They are all residents, correct?
Yes.
Are there other appointments that you have in mind other than what are on here? Because it says at the bottom here, be it further resolved that the town board confirm the appointments made by the town board chairman. So are there other ones?
I have no others, no.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 11, discussion and possible action, approval of resolution number 21, amendment to the general, personal, and benefits policy manual, policy number 1.05, acceptance of and request for donations/gifts.
This resolution came about because we did have within our policy a means in which to accept donations and gifts, but we often get requests for donations and gifts. Often it's $100, sometimes less, and those have all been coming through town board. There isn't any levy that's associated with those donations. They come out of our community donations account, which again is from the aluminum cans at the transfer site. So this would just allow for if someone wanted a small donation of $100, something under $175, and it's within budget, or to waive usage of like the gazebo or the community space, because they're a community group doing a civic event, that I could approve that rather than that having to come through town board.
Jamie?
Mhm.
As far as acceptance of donations, I would think we ought to maybe exempt some of these organized fundraising activities that we have in the town here. So if there's an addition to the library, for example, going on, or Parks and Rec, where we have recently had 2 large donations. It wasn't my intention to inform the board of that. There's common knowledge anyway, but there's nothing in here for those kinds of donations.
So, but there would have been approval of those projects, we had to take the site plan of approval through Plan Commission and to Town Board that we were gonna do those activities.
Yeah, but nothing as far as donations. We've had donations in excess of $500 that have never been mentioned. We've got 2 right now that are $50,000.
We did approve the overall project though, that we were going to fundraise for the overall project.
Yeah.
I guess that would,
So maybe there ought to be another bullet in here to cover those kinds of events so that they're not reported on a case-by-case basis.
we
Not
could
like
work
we're-
on some language for that.
Not like we're getting donations over $10,000 every day though.
No,
No,
it'd be nice if we did.
I don't know. Personally, I like having the visibility of that, and it gives it some airtime for everybody who's watching.
Yeah, I think it's good to recognize the person or organization doing that kind of donation on a town board meeting.
So I think this policy currently, without adjusting it, requires it to go to the town board if there were a $50,000 donation. And really that gives you visibility. It allows you to recognize that donation. And so is it your wish to change the policy? I'm talking about under 1A, where you have a donation above 10,000, you want an exception from that having to go to the town board?
That was my thought.
Okay.
I could go either way, but I wasn't aware of this to begin with, so I was kind of surprised when I read it.
I would say we leave the policy the way it is and just bring any of those big donations through the board just to approve them and recognize the party or organization doing it.
And the other side of that is that there are times where those larger donations, and I suspect the reasoning behind this was where you get those larger donations, sometimes they want naming rights and other things that go along with it, even reversionary rights, and those things would need the board's approval certainly. So we would have to flesh that language out if we were going to accept it, or we just leave it as is, and those larger donations, 10,000 and above, go to the town board for.
Okay, are we talking about actual physical donations or pledges to donate?
Physical donations, I mean, the ones that I can think of we've done in the past, which have been items, not necessarily cash, have been through the fire department fund. Like when they donated the life pack or the antique fire truck, those have come here to town board for acceptance. So,
But the fire truck's a good example, right? That had I believe that had a certain reversionary interest
we did.
tied to it, and you certainly wanted to go to the town board for that.
So if at any point the town decided they didn't want that truck, it reverts back to the fund since they donated it to us. But on our 2 pledges, yes, we have not received checks on those yet. So they could, when we are ready to accept funds from them, we could bring those here.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to amend the policy manual for donations and gifts as presented.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 12, discussion and possible action, approval of recommendation from the Community Development Authority to enter into an independent contractor agreement with Bork Development LLC for ongoing economic development and business consulting services.
The contract was in your packet. We do operate under this contract now with Derek Smith from Adams County Economic Development. This contract, the highlighted language reflects what the changes would be for this year and would allow for an auto renewal. Unless there would be some reason, then we would enter into the termination clause if we did not want to continue the contract. There are, the Appendix A, a listing of bullet points of things that we've been working on with Derek, would continue working on with Derek. We can always expand that list, but this would be continuing the agreement for another year. And it is budgeted for.
Can you get a motion, please?
Motion to approve the agreement with Port Development.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action, update on zoning administrator recruitment, number 13.
So as the board is aware, we'll be facing a transition with our zoning administrator right after the first of the year. I just wanted to provide in the packet, I did both in track changes and without track changes, just for ease in reading, an updated position description. And an advertisement that would go out tomorrow. I don't necessarily know that we need to have a motion on this item unless you'd like to have a motion on this item. What I really just wanted the board to know was what we would be looking for with hiring a zoning administrator and sort of the timeline of process of what we're hoping to accomplish. So the ad would be out for 2 weeks, and then we would be looking to do interviews around the holidays with considerations around the holidays. We have in the past had a supervisor join those to be a part of the interview process, and if there was someone that would like to join that interview process, you'd be looking at the resumes and we'd be having a conversation as we went through the recruitment.
What platforms will the posting be on?
So we do a lot better on electronic than on print. So we'll be putting it out through Indeed, your major recruitment now, online recruitment sources. We'll also, there are a couple specific zoning administrator organizations that we would be sending it to see if there would be anyone else interested through organizational contacts. Then it goes on all of our posting boards and on our website here within the community.
You think 2 weeks is enough?
So we actually had an internal conversation about that because we, in the past, have done 3 weeks, right? We do hit up the holidays at that point if we do 3 weeks now. But the thought process is the current job market is moving so fast. Recruitments are moving so fast. So if there's someone that's interested, likely they know they're interested. So that was why the reason to go to 2 weeks, just because of our current recruitment market is, it's a quick turnaround.
How soon after the 19th would you start interviews?
Probably would allow a couple days to review applications, and I mean, I don't know that it would be right away on the 20th, or that following business day, but it would be fairly soon after.
Jamie, as far as the position description goes, the bullet item second to the last, I think, is missing a word, like before land and water, or water, shouldn't it be or land, on land or water?
And I'm sorry, you're on the first page?
Yes,
And you said the second bullet point to the end?
yeah.
Okay.
Prohibit the use of or erection of any structure on land or water, I believe is what you're trying to say.
Okay.
And then I think there's a couple bullet items that probably could be added to this thing as far as I'm concerned.
What would those be?
Well, the first one I think should be the thought that this job should encompass surveying a quarter of the town or some portion of the town quarterly for any zoning violations. In other words, being more proactive about it. And then, obviously reporting those violations to the police department like it is on the give notice of all violations of chapters 326 and 360 of the Town Code of Ordinances to the owner, resident, agent, or occupant of the premises, and report unrecorded violations to the police department and town attorney. And then the second item I think that should be added would be to provide a report to the board monthly of all zoning and building violations and their status.
So I think that those could be added to bullets because there is the investigate and respond to all complaints.
Yeah, that's on a complaint basis, though. It's not very proactive.
I was just gonna say we could add a proactive or a surveying to that. I mean, I think that falls in with that, investigation on potential issues.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I think we can add that to that bullet. And there is a piece under reporting about providing a monthly report and prepare zoning department reports. I can put including violations.
Yeah, and their status.
Were there other thoughts on that or agreement on that?
We don't need to do a motion on this, right?
No, but then
Proceed.
if there's a member that would like to join with the interviews, a supervisor that'd like to join with the interviews?
I guess, no, I don't want to join that, but a general comment. Ideally, if we happen to get somebody apply that has the right experience, not only on paper, but has been in towns or other that have gone through phases of significant growth like we are, and has the experience in managing that, that would be ideal.
I'd be more than happy to volunteer if you're looking for a board member.
Okay, then this will get released tomorrow and I'll keep you updated on how many applications we're receiving.
Okay, thank you. Number 14, discussion and possible action, dialogue regarding 2021 Firewise collection and billing.
We'll have Brad come up. He did enclose in your packet a summary, but I'll let him speak to it.
Like Jamie said, in everyone's packet, they did see the 2021 Town of Rome Firewise summary. Are there any questions on how that was come about or the costs? Any
Now-
questions on it?
I have some. When you say costs, are these over and above what our costs are week in, week out? Is there any overtime in any of this, or is this just standard duties of our personnel that are here? Or should it be standard duties of our personnel that are already here?
I don't know if it's say it's standard duty, it's a special duty that is brought about once a year. Not standard, like we don't go out every day and pick up brush, so it's not
It's a project.
yeah, it's a special project.
What would these folks be doing if they weren't doing brush pickup? If there's, the roads are all complete, I guess, what else would we have work for them to do? Is this, what I'm saying is this an additional cost to us?
Yes,
Or is this just an everyday, or not an everyday occurrence? Yes, it's only done in the fall of the year at this point. But I guess I'm looking at, is it over and above our budgeted costs for our department?
not budgeted, but it is above what you want to see is work that would normally be getting done. So instead of being out patching roads to prep them for the winter, cleaning up the ditches,
Preparing the trucks.
preparing the trucks for winter, yeah. Every part of our crew was out there. So like this year, we've been fortunate, no snow yet, but this normally time the trucks are getting ready. It was not an above cost, but it's above work that now other work isn't getting done.
And remember, we have 3 full-time, Brad would make 4 full-time staff in public works, so we bring in part-time help. So the people that help at the transfer site may drive truck. Interim fire chief drove truck. I mean, we all hands on deck for that time frame and bring in people that are willing to help from any other department.
And what benefit to the town is this?
It's a huge benefit, I think. I mean, I've had a lot of feedback from my neighbors whenever a pickup occurs on our side of 13, that it's something they look forward to and that it's something that the town provides. It's also something that helps mitigate the possibility of having a wildfire.
I I mean, it was one of the major priorities that the board even identified in April. Was,
Right.
Yeah.
Improves the looks of the town and land or property values too. You know, that brush laying all over. One thing on his costs, they're based on state DOT or Department of Revenue or Natural Resource, DNR costs on operating units and the labor, the manpower and so forth. It's not our true actual cost, but it's based on those rates.
The labor is our true actual cost, but the equipment rate is based off the state's rate that they reimburse for each
I thought
item.
you were using the labor cost also.
No, the labor is our actual labor cost for
Okay.
each, whether it's a part-time or full-time individual and what their hourly rate is.
Okay,
And the 40 hours for the mail prep, that's actual labor cost. The supplies and envelopes are actual cost and the postage too.
Okay.
This is a good moment though to talk about next year, because we would transition to, the town would pick up the whole town minus Arrowhead because they handle their own pickup. So we will not do a postage mail next year. It's just not cost effective to do that or time effective. We will try other means in which to get out that time frame of weeks of when Firewise would occur. We might purchase some vinyl banners and have them posted out at the transfer site. You know, the marquee, Facebook, other social media, the website. But to do letters it's really labor intensive and
Well, there'll be less confusion actually, so it should be good. Hey Brad, I just want to ask you, the 20 loads for Lake Camelot Property Owners Association and the 2 loads for Lake Sherwood, those were billed out, right, still?
Yes, they were, yes.
Those were billed out, but let's not be confused. It's not Lake Camelot Property Owners Association that land necessarily that the work was done that resulted in that billing. I want to be clear about that. There's a project that LCPOA hosted on common area that is owned by deeded residents. So it's not Lake Camelot Property Club.
Right.
We've already gotten lots of questions about this.
Was Sherwood, is that common property also? Or was that,
it's town property.
it's Sherwood Forest. So the town owns that.
The town owns it.
the town owns it?
The town owns Sherwood Forest, yes.
Did that get billed out to?
Yes,
To whom?
Yes,
to Sherwood.
yes, Bill to Sherwood, we've, get our grant to cover that cost.
So there's no taxes coming in off of that property, right?
No, it's just to recover some of the DNR funds that are available.
I think the Sherwood Fort, it's less than 15 acres. Yeah, I'm not.
10 acres.
Okay.
But, I mean, 518 loads, I mean, that's a huge endeavor. But I mean, you can see the improvement all around the town. It's much better. But I think every year we still have, it's probably realistic, those numbers every year for going forward. My thought was, do we want to make sure this is just a town function year in, year out until we're clean?
What do you mean town function?
Continuation of this project in the budget every year. Again, I had an issue also with Lake Camelot because it was built out the property that is already paying taxes, and we're supplying a service to the taxpayers, but the LCPOA is technically paying twice. They're paying through taxes, and they're also paying through a charge on the pickup. Is that fair?
Well, I think there was also a conversation that was had through the Brush and Timber Task Force about the common properties with all 3 property owners associations. So, and I don't want to speak for Arrowhead. I do live in Arrowhead, but I don't want to speak for Arrowhead. But there was also the comment to say that they take care of it for members, right? So all Arrowhead members would also be Rome taxpayers, but take care of it through association dues, and then Arrowhead seeks that reimbursement.
Yeah,
So-
Arrowhead still gets reimbursement through the DNR,
Yes.
just like these other two organizations
Yes.
do.
So there was a conversation about if it would be complimentary. Sherwood has been billed for many years for Sherwood Forest, even though there was a moment when it was owned by Adams County and then owned by the town.
Half and half.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but now it's all owned by the town, but they've always received an invoice for theirs. Now it is a smaller piece of property than other common areas, but have received an invoice.
I think the Brush Task Force basically decided if there wasn't DNR funds available, we would not be billing for these services.
So effectively, LCPOA loses a chunk of what it would otherwise gain in reimbursement, which means we may or may not have the ability to do as much as we've done in the past in future years. So that it is what it is, if that's what we're intending to do here. So.
Well, the other thing, what happens if Arrowhead decides not to do it?
That's a big conversation that we would have because it's a huge chunk of the town that they cover. I
Yeah.
mean,
I
it
mean,
would-
fair, what's fair is fair.
Yeah.
But we need a contingency in that somehow, something. Estimate, something along that line.
I think this year we had 5 weeks into doing this. Next year, doing the whole town, we're probably at close to 7 weeks.
Yeah.
If we had to also do Arrowhead, you might as well plan on 2.5 months of us doing nothing but brush pickup. Also, keep in mind that when we did this 40 hours a week. We take some of our part-time staff and they work more than what, they're limited at how many hours they should really be working per week over the course of the year. So they work heavy during that period and then they don't work as much in the other times. We would need more staff, and I think at that point in time, we would need to do a budget adjustment to cover labor for doing that.
Yeah, for sure. But be prepared. You never know.
I guess one thing that's also brought up at the Firewise meeting that Supervisor Barhide was at, right now, Kafka does chip for us for nothing, okay? That could change at any point in time, and we could be talking over $500 an hour for them to chip. So I'd be leery of saying we're gonna do this for sure every year guaranteed for the rest of the time, because if all of a sudden they come along next year and they want $500 per hour for chipping all that, I don't think we could afford to pick up Firewise.
It's just like anything else. I mean, it's subject to change on budgetary constraints each year,
Yeah.
but the plan is to have it ongoing right now.
The piece
Right.
with Kafka is that they could take the chips and sell them to the mill, right? That they had a resource for those chips to go, but the market is flooded with chips right now, and it's not what the mills are using. So, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's other places that Kafka uses those chips, but there was a value in that, right? That's why there wasn't a charge for the grinding.
Well, start looking for a plan B just to be safe. I would.
Brad, don't you think that in future years it could be less loads because some of the lots are being cleaned up now and they don't get full of brush again that quickly, but
Yeah, we
As they
haven't
clean
really-
up some of these
We haven't
vacant
really
lots.
reached a point of diminishing returns yet, but at some time in the future, that's probably gonna happen, hopefully.
The only thing I'll say on that is we've noticed this year, a lot of people are cleaning lots for building houses and taking advantage of this as a way of getting rid of their brush instead of having, say, a contractor haul it away. Also, keep in mind, this is not all dead brush that's brought out to the road. There are people cutting live trees, okay? As more houses are getting built then, obviously more people are gonna be cleaning up around their houses, so there'll be more brush coming out. Also, since they changed the policy now to, even if you have over 2 acres, but you have property within 100 feet of a structure, that needs to be cleared out. Where in the past, it was just anyone under 2 acres had to clean up their property. So now everyone in the town of Rome that has property, whether it's 2 acres or 80 acres, if a part of that parcel is within 100 feet of a house, technically they need to clean it up. So there is now gonna be an increase of brush as it get picked up to open up to a lot more, every resident.
Yeah.
Instead of just the under 2 acres. But I think another thing that maybe getting kind of long-winded here, but should be brought up with Firewise is the DNR fuel, getting fuel picked up. Their main concern is that 100 feet of a structure. That's your biggest area of concern. It doesn't mean if you have a 2 acre parcel to clean all your brush out from underneath it if there's no house around it. there have been quite a few residents that have not been up to their property up here, and they said in over 10 years, but they got letters last year saying that they had to cut their brush out, hired contractors to do it, and there's no house within a couple hundred yards of them.
How many acres burned down in Cottonville 13 years ago? Anybody know?
In excess of 5,000.
It gets out of control. It's out of control, right? You get a wind going, you get 1 acre going, all of a sudden you got 5 acres, 10 acres. I'm not concerned with the DNR's 100-foot rule. I am in that respect as far as protecting the homes, but I'm also looking at the whole area. 5,000 acres?
Well, that 100-foot rule was adopted by the
By the dead timber and
that
brush.
timber, so it's
Yeah.
not just a DNR, it's also the town.
Yeah, but it was also, the thought was it's also for aesthetic reasons as well, not just protection of property, but aesthetically.
Well, dead timber and brush focused on safety, right? They weren't
First,
focused on
safety, yes.
first safety, not on an aesthetic. But the ignition zone of that 100 feet was the focus on expanding it beyond that 2 acre lot size.
Too, if you got a fire going out there, and we got that one truck that might be able to go out there, but how many other trucks can we get in certain areas? We're limited. If we get a fire in the middle of one of these forests, we got issues.
Well-
And that's dead timber.
Mark can probably speak to that, but the DNR then, I mean, if you have a wildfire, the DNR takes, that's a DNR fire. So they're gonna bring in the equipment to fight a wildfire. Am I?
You are correct.
Okay. They would, I think they take over that fire scene then.
It's any wildfire is actually a DNR fire. We're there to assist.
What's their response time?
Oftentimes in the summer, they're in our parking lot. I mean, if you've seen them, they stage here in our parking lot. But I mean, we had one on Camelot not last year or the year before, and
2 years, yeah.
their response time wasn't, it was very quick.
Anybody want to make any motions or any further comments?
I don't know that there's a need for a motion unless there would, okay.
So next year we based on budgetary amounts that could be available, rather than make a decision that we're just gonna do the whole town.
And at this moment, we have budgeted to do the whole town minus Arrowhead.
Okay,
We do have to just, after the first of the year, kind of talk through that plan, because we'll want to try and coincide as much with Arrowhead, but given that workload, we might have to divide it into, the separation of a couple weeks. That's why I say we'll have to get out the information on when it's gonna occur.
Yeah, we're also gonna survey the next 1/5 of the town next year
Yes.
for all kinds of violations, not just timber and brush.
Yep.
But any visible violation.
Yeah, and maybe, hopefully more. We have an intern starting in February, so hopefully we would get even more than that section done.
Good.
All right. We can continue on then. Thank you, Brad.
You can just stay there, yeah.
All right. Number 15, discussion and possible action, review of 2021-22 winter season snow plowing procedures.
With that item 2, everyone should have gotten in their packet summary or guidelines of what will be done snow plowing wise in 2021. Any questions or discussion on that?
Yeah, when I read through this thing, I think it would read better if you moved the portion about the town ordinance 8.01 sub 9 up to the top first, so that you introduce, when you're talking about this, the 3 inches of more depth, and then you can go on with the first paragraph that you have. Would make more sense and would better flow that way.
And for everybody watching and here, that since we've recodified our ordinances, it's 335-10. The language is still correct.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
no longer chapter 8.
Okay.
It's under 335-10.
I think there was confusion last year, because word was out that town doesn't plow under 3 inches. That's not what this says. It says if it's 3 inches or more, we declare a emergency. So no, there's no parking on the road. Doesn't mean we don't plow under 3 inches, correct?
No, but if, last year being the first year, going through past notes, it looked like that was the intention, was that under 3 inches, not all roads would be plowed. But obviously the first year I learned that, that wasn't very well received. And so that will not be the case. I guess we'll do whatever everyone wants. But as you read through the other portion of it, you can't put a number on when you do or when you don't go out. So I don't like that tying a number to it. But
I agree. There's a lot of other conditions that have to be considered before you decide to go or not go, but my point is that without a snow emergency, you can still go out and plow the pavement.
yes,
There may be cars parked on the right of way, but the pavement can still be plowed
yes.
under 3 inches.
Yeah.
Snow, 3 inches or more, they have to have their vehicles out there so we can wing it out if we need to.
I think one of our residents at a board meeting last year put it pretty well. He said, the expectations are up here. And we don't want to have results down here. We want to make sure the expectations and results are all still up here.
Yeah, but you can't be plowing when there's a half inch of snow on the road
No,
either.
they won't be
I mean,
perfect. We know that. It's going to be occasions where you get a little bit of snow, yeah. But yes, but there's occasions when, again, the word was out that they weren't doing certain roads. Or
Yeah,
some
well,
roads
there
weren't
was
getting done.
confusion because some of the main roads were plowed and some of the other ones weren't because of what's stated in here.
Yeah, and orderly, there's an orderly fashion, understood, that makes sense. What road you're gonna do first, I mean, obviously that makes sense, but we just wanna make sure that we're offering the right service to everybody, so.
And everyone understood and is okay with the fact that not all roads will be plowed in some snowstorms.
Yep.
Yep, okay.
All roads won't be plowed in some snowstorms?
Yes,
You
like
can do
if,
some, but not others?
yep, like this, couple weeks ago when you had that little bit of snow and slush in the morning, they went out and took care of some of the main roads and main intersections. They didn't go back and do every cul-de-sac.
And the snow melted within
Yeah.
48
Yeah.
hours.
Your judgment, you use your best judgment.
I think too, you gotta consider is your speed limits on your roads. Your back cul-de-sacs are 25 miles an hour. If I use the term good winter driving conditions, if you can drive 25 to 20 miles an hour and it's got snow on it, that's good winter driving condition. It doesn't need to be bare pavement. The majority of the complaints and questions I received last year were over people that actually, it wasn't about driving, about walking on the roads.
Walking their dogs, as I recall.
Yes.
We don't have sidewalks, well, except for a little bit out here, but we don't have sidewalks.
And this year, we're in a little bit different position. We can offer, again, if people want to walk in the community room, they can be with other people. They don't have to, they can
Walk their dogs in the community room, is that
they
what
cannot
you're saying?
walk their dogs in the community room, but they could be on a flat surface with no ice in a tempered controlled room. So we didn't, because of COVID, we didn't have that option last year, but that is, we have in the past have people that are here at 7 o'clock and they do loops and they don't have to worry about slipping or falling or so.
I've never lived in a community with sidewalks where they plowed their sidewalks either, so. It's winter, get used to it.
Wisconsin.
Are we done with 14 and 15? All right, thank you, Brad. Number 16, discussion of possible action, approval of temporary Class B retailer's license for Visit Rome, Wisconsin to sell fermented malt beverages at Candlelight Hike event on December 18th, 2021 from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. at Tri-North Winter Park, 1001 County Road O.
I move to approve Visit Rome's application for a temporary alcohol permit.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 17, the board may go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85, subsection 1, subsection C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Town administrator, 12-month evaluation.
Motion to go in closed session pursuant.
Chairman, I think you also want to read number 18 to continue it together.
All right, number 18, the board may continue in closed session under 19.85 subsection 1 subsection E for deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. There's reference to the TIF number 1 developers agreement with Sand Valley. Okay.
Make a motion to go in closed session pursuant to state statute 19.85 sub 1 subs E.
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote starting from my left?
Weisinger, yes.
Minter, yes.
Hasdall, yes.
Goldman, yes.
Barhead, yes.
Okay, we are now in closed session.
I'm ready when you are, Chairman.
All right, number 19, the board reserves the right to enter into open session authorized by Wisconsin statute section 19.85 subsection 2 to possibly take action from the closed session and continue with the agenda. You get a motion, please?
Motion to return into open session pursuant to Wisconsin State Stats 19.85 sub 2.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote starting from my left.
Weisinger, yes.
Minter, yes.
Hasdall, yes.
Goldman, yes.
Barhead, yes.
We are now in open session. Dates and items for future agenda and meetings. Number 20, next agenda items.
We have CDA recommendations on 2 property sales in the town center. Number 17 again. Those are 2 that I have.
It's also time for our Visit Rome annual report for our agreement with them, so we'll invite Lisa Kubish, the new executive director, to give the report. We probably will have some plan commission items. And we have to do a change to 3.01 and to discuss through some continuation of benefits that deal with our dental and vision.
And that will likely have a resolution and policy language.
Okay, do we also want to add in discussion on CDA responsibilities and comprehensive plan? Thoughts,
Well,
guidance?
it depends. It depends because I don't know that CDA is going to meet before our next meeting.
But we want to
So
give
we're
them,
probably looking at 2 town board meetings. Give them a chance to meet on it and review that first, and then kind of follow that. The idea being that your next meeting is before CDA would have a chance to meet unless there was something.
yeah, but our discussion on there, so we're lockstep on what we were looking for, given some kind of direction.
True. So I guess that's maybe, and we can have that conversation right now on the future agenda items. Do we want to have that conversation after CDA comes forward with, maybe a summary of what comes out of their conversations? Or do we want to provide input to fuel their conversations? I guess that's,
I'm looking at the input because we got members from the planning commission here, we got members from the CDA here. I think our input is what's going to drive their
okay.
thoughts. That's my opinion. Even Parks and Recs, that's in consideration down the road too.
And then it comes to the board that, do you want them to have at least one meeting on it to start generating that, and then we can report the result of that meeting, or do you want to give that input before their first meeting on it?
I'm thinking more of a generalized aspect from our point. This is
Okay.
looking, 30,000 foot view. Here's what we're looking at. Here's what some of us think might be needed, or suggestions, conversation at the minimum.
And really, either way would be appropriate. So if you all are comfortable with having that conversation and providing that input, so then they can start really with that and the summary that I give them, that'd be just fine. I mean, it's really.
I'm really interested in other folks' ideas on, looking down the road a ways, because again, it's not that far.
We can work on some agenda language of what that would look like.
Definitely, and then I'm thinking, a similar summary that I give them, I will provide to you so you can put in the board's packet.
Okay.
Just so everybody is on the same page of really where the authority can go, right, and where those authorized areas of operation can be. So then you can kind of review that and provide input. So
Do you think-
I'll give them the same.
Would you have numbers by, from Ellers yet, performance on that, do you think, or in 2 weeks?
I don't know if I would have it in 2 weeks. It kind of depends on what Greg's schedule is.
Yeah.
But what we can start with is we did have him do numbers last year when we entered into the investment policy of what we thought we could bring in. Now that's based on last year's estimates on growth, not the current years. But we could
Town growth or Sand Valley growth?
TIF growth.
Okay.
In the TIF. I mean, Sand Valley is the only business within the TIF, but it's based on TIF growth. But we can revisit that. I mean,
Starting
we've
point.
had 3 new board members since that point. Yep, since he came and gave that presentation. So I provided, again, just reiterating, it was a moment in time, and we're in a different moment of time, but it gives you an idea of what he would be doing going forward.
And then a discussion about the town paying for the employee and one guest for the Christmas party.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Don't leave that thing off of there.
And then also, maybe we could have a short discussion on the necessity for having 2 meetings a month in January, February. Maybe go back to our schedule of having 1 meeting a month during those meetings, because it's kind of off months anyway.
Define off month. I see a lot of stuff coming up. We still got financials too all the time, so.
The other aspect I think we said before is that if we had low agenda items,
Yeah.
then we would just cancel that meeting. But if you'd like me to add it back as a conversation, I certainly can.
I think just have a conversation doesn't hurt.
Okay.
All right. Next meeting date and time?
16th.
16th, 5 o'clock.
Can you get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.